Welcome to another episode of Behind the Book. Today, I'm going to be talking with Katelyn Bullock about hunting unicorns. Stay tuned for more. I'm Heather Andrews, and on Behind the Book, we journey beyond the cover. On each episode, I dive deep into the minds of authors, unlocking the mysteries behind their literary creations. Discover the stories behind the book exclusively here with me. Welcome to Behind the Book. Today we have Katelyn Bullock with us again. And if you remember, she went from bulldog to better human. But today we're going to be talking about hunting unicorns. So welcome back, Katelyn.
Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
I just have to ask.
Yes.
Hunting unicorns, what does that mean?
Oh my goodness. Unicorns are those magical, mythical creatures in our business who are multifaceted. You can give them a task and they take it. They live by your values. They perform. They do it all, right? And they're kind of worth like 3 regular employees because they're so highly productive and they're so on the ball. They're solving problems, not bringing you problems. That's a unicorn.
Love that.
Yes.
I had to define it because
Yes.
I just needed to know. So we talked about bulldog to better human.
Yeah.
And just to sum up, we talked about how you were the
bulldog.
You are a unicorn, but how you were the bulldog and
Yeah.
you really got things done. And then there was that turning point of how you had to really go through finding your heart and to make things work in your life, and
Yeah.
you had to find that relatability and that vulnerability, and really where it played that duality in your life.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we talked about Culture Revolution and the book coming together and you talking about your chapter which is called
Unicorns and Assholes.
Love that. Yeah. And it's quite the story.
Yes.
What was the biggest transformation you had as you wrote your chapter?
So many of these things have happened throughout my life, right? Like little things, and we talked about that last time, and they've all kind of added up. But it was really, the transformation was being able just to zoom out and see how they all impacted to this one moment, right? To that epiphany moment where you go, I get it now, right? And so, to be honest, I had a lot of help, like between you and Megan Fedez, who's my speaking coach,
Yep.
Incredible speaking coach, by the way. I had help to push me past where I was able to go myself.
Absolutely.
Right, and I think that this is the key thing for anybody writing a book, doing a keynote, or even just improvement. You need someone else to push you past your boundaries because you will not go there yourself. Well, and it's funny because we're culture experts at ENTA. That's what we do. We help companies unlock culture. We can't do it to ourselves. We actually hire other culture people to come in and do it for us because you need somebody to push you beyond where you think you're willing to go. And so I think that that helped really bring this story together, to be able to kind of tell all these seemingly random stories and then have somebody go, no, don't you see that fits? Okay.
Yes,
Makes sense.
absolutely.
Yeah, so, but bringing it all together, assholes and unicorns, it was really that, there's 4 quadrants, and I put the picture in the book, and we love this picture, and I drew it on stage one time, and I had quite the reaction from the audience on my drawing of an asshole. I can't draw, by the way, as we know. Okay. But the high performance align with your values, obviously the unicorn, right? And then they align with your values, but they're not quite getting the results. I call those your American Idols, right? They need a little coaching, a little Simon Cowell to come in there and help. But those people, if they're coachable, right, then they can become unicorns. Right? If they need to learn skills, if they need mentoring, if they need, training, whatever, they become unicorns if you invest in them and it's worth the investment.
Absolutely.
And then obviously you have, I call them your anchors, right? They don't align with your values and they don't perform. Your ship's going nowhere if you keep them. But the hard one is the assholes, right? And it was this realization that, okay, they're not really assholes. Let's be honest, no one's really an asshole. They're just not right for your business. They're going to thrive. They're going to be somebody else's unicorn, right? So let them be somebody else's unicorn. But it's so hard because as business leaders, they're getting the results, right? They're driving that top line for you. They're doing the things, man. And like, you're like, oh, I need that. But they kill your unicorns, like fast.
Well, they're the difficult ones to get along with, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they can destroy a culture really quickly. And then all of a sudden, either your unicorns go away or they stop performing. And then you lose so much more, right? And it really, yeah. So it's hard. And they're harder to coach because their coaching isn't like, I need new skills. Their coaching is usually internal. It's like going from bulldog to a better human. It's painful, it hurts, and it takes time and practice. And not everybody's willing to make that shift over and change. And they might just want to go find a place where they fit. And they're the unicorn at that point. Right?
And I think that when you have that person, how do you convince them to move?
Yeah.
Because they're not aligned to where, because there's a cost. There's a cost.
Big cost.
There's a cost to the unicorns and to keeping the unicorns, and there's a cost to moving the other people on.
And it's, I mean, all of business is this cost-benefit analysis, right? We're engineers, as I said, okay? So naturally we will build a spreadsheet any chance we get to. And so we were like, we logged our assumptions and we made a spreadsheet of how much it would cost to replace like a intermediate technical person, like let's say at an engineering firm. And we made we put in a huge safety factor. For my engineers out there, we put a huge safety factor, okay? Because I didn't want anybody coming to me and being like, that seems like it's too much, Katelyn. No. Like, I took a really conservative estimate to replace one intermediate technical person.
You spoke on this, I remember it.
$160,000.
Yeah.
That is like, that's your hiring, that's your posting your job, looking at resumes, booking meetings for your interviews, running the interviews, sending the contracts, and like, let's assume a 3-month ramp up time, which is super conservative, because let's be honest, nobody's useful until they're 6 months in. That's it. That's not even like lost opportunity costs, right? So there's a cost to letting somebody go and having to replace them. That being said, if that person is causing everybody else to mass exit, right? There's going to be a cost. So it's, the cost to invest is always better, but there reaches a point, and you have to have, and this is the funny thing is like, big companies have longer runways, but like when you're a small company scaling, you can invest, but your runway's short. It's like, I have this much time to invest, and then I have to, because I need the results, because I don't have the runway, I don't have the cushion in the company. But you have to be self-aware of that as a business leader, I think. Yeah. Right?
It's huge.
It is huge. Oh, I gotta tell you a story. My sister-in-law, she is like one of the leading experts in excess soil waste. And her company got acquired. And she came along on this acquisition, and they did not do a cultural alignment whatsoever. And all of a sudden they're forcing all these policies on them, forcing all these things, and like no sort of like bringing people on a journey. You can affect change, you just gotta bring people on a journey, right? No, it was like, you're gonna do this. And then they were overworking them, and there was it was a thankless position, right? And she was like, I can't take this anymore. So she quit. And she quit and went to another company for a 30% pay cut because the culture was better. Because she wanted to wake up every day and go to that job.
Yeah, it's huge.
Right? She was a unicorn. They lost a unicorn. The scary part is she had 20 other people like follow her out of the company. Like, it was a mass exodus.
Influencer in her own company.
Right? Well, and I think like once there's permission, like she left. Like they left. There was over 20 people who left. And multiply that, right? Millions of dollars just to replace people. But even worse for that company, they ended up having to sell their projects to their competitors because they just couldn't complete the capacity. So it was like a huge, huge loss because of culture. And mergers and acquisitions, often don't do cultural alignment. Not just like, hey, are they a good fit for us to buy, but how do we bring people on a journey so that the cultures come together and you can do it, right? We help companies do that. And that's how you take your unicorns over in this company or division or department, and your unicorns over here, and like get them to be in the same paddock together, if you're for my horsey people.
Okay, corral.
Yeah, get them in the corral, right?
Yeah.
But like get them working together, and so that you don't lose your unicorns. And I think that's a huge piece of it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that. And just, you know, so thank you for that, because all I'm thinking is 160 times 20 equals 2 point something, and I'm not a mathematician.
Millions. All you need to know is
Millions.
and it ain't worth it. No, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Had they invested 1% of that,
It would have saved them.
it could have saved them. Well, if you think about it, if one person stays and like jumps that level to the unicorn,
Your unicorns go.
oh man, it's huge. It's huge to if people leave, and it's huge if they stay and do well, right?
And we can touch on this in the next episode. But I believe that there was, in the baby boomer stage, there was we work to live or live to work.
Yep.
You know, there's that analogy. And that, you know, that generational shift has come down and said, hey, I want to go snowboarding, I want to go cycling, I want to spend time with my family, and I want it on these terms. And peace of mind and conscious thinking and realizing that we don't have to put up with anymore, that is the new way. And
Yeah.
it's a big way.
Yeah.
And that's why your book is Culture Revolution has got a place in the mark, because there's going to be things in that book that haven't been talked about before, and you're bringing them to the forefront.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a huge pendulum shift.
Yeah.
And then COVID came along, and the whole pandemic like threw it even more for a shift.
Absolutely.
Because people got, I guess, a wake-up call on what they really wanted out of life.
Yeah.
And so, this isn't going away. And that's why we call it the revolution. That's why we called it the revolution, because it is changing business. And if businesses do not get on board, I don't think they're going to survive very long.
Absolutely, I agree. And so what would your transformation that you would want for your reader to take away from this book?
I want them to look at culture as a strategy. Okay? I know Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture should be part of your strategy. Meaning you need to give it dollar amount, you need to give it time, effort, thought. It has to go in there. And I don't mean like it's a strategy like you're manipulating people. I mean, it's part of your strategy because you're building something important. Imagine you wake up out of bed, so excited to go to work. How do you treat your spouse in the morning? Better. How do you treat the lady at the coffee?
Better.
Yeah, better. And it was so funny because this actually happened, okay? I know we're running out of time, but one more story. Driving through... Sorry, I get excited. Driving through Tim Hortons lineup, I used to order coffees every morning at Tim Hortons. And I would go and I would order my coffee and I drive it to the window, and one day the lady says to me, "Oh, Katelyn, we just love it when you come by." And I was like, "Why?" Just order a coffee. And she's like, "Oh, you're just so pleasant." And I was like, "What? Like, what does everybody else like?" She's like, "Oh, they're miserable." I'm like, "Seriously, like people treat you poorly." She's like, "Oh yeah, they're grumpy. They're like barking orders at me. They don't even like make eye contact." I'm like, "What? Seriously?" And I realized that like part of going to a place of work where you love to work means you treat everybody along the way better, which means that their place of work is better, meaning that they treat everybody better. And it's this movement, this ripple effect that you don't even know you've had.
Right.
And that's the power of building a culture in a business. The ripple effect you don't even know you're gonna have.
Well, it goes back to when you make someone feel important and voiced and acknowledged and all the things, they remember you, right? And that's what, right?
How you made people feel, right?
How you make people feel. And just one more story in healthcare. right? Healthcare, we see people at their worst.
Totally.
And I've been in it for 34 years. 34! It's almost as older than you. And
Oh, I like that.
yes. And the thing about that is that you see people at your worst and you are in that place of service because you want to help people.
Yeah.
And I remember one time during COVID, and this gentleman, as we know, people, they weren't allowed to go see grandparents, and I had this gentleman come down and I was just holding his hand for a second. And I said, okay, they're going to come and take you back upstairs. He's like, can you stay with me a little bit longer, please, and hold my hand? And if that's the one thing that makes it better for someone, then where are we as humans that we've lost this?
Right.
And I think that is the step that this book, Culture Evolution, the stories that you and ENTA Solutions and Adam are forging, and other culture companies that are teaching this.
Yeah.
We have to get back to our roots. And we've got so far off kilter in so many pieces of it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the space, and that's why story is so important.
So important.
And bringing books like this to life is my passion. And bringing on you to behind the book. So thank you, Katelyn, for being on here today. Where can people get a hold of you as we wrap up this episode?
Oh, absolutely. Come follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Katelyn Bullock on my other social platforms. I'm Lady Kate, the entrepreneur. You can go to entasolutions.org, fill out the form. We can get in touch with ENTA. Just say, I want to talk to Kate, and they will connect you with me. And yeah, I look forward to meeting with you guys because we truly are better together.
Absolutely. Make sure you get a copy of Culture Revolution. It's on sale on Amazon. And make sure you follow Katelyn, definitely Culture Extraordinaire, and all the other people in the book. Join us next time on the next series of With Katelyn and Behind the Book, where we're going to talk about her process and how it was and her real feeling about what she felt about writing her story. It's been a literary voyage here on Behind the Book. My sincerest thanks to our featured authors for letting us peek behind the curtain. I'm Heather Andrews, urging you to keep exploring the vast universe of literature. Until our next chapter, happy reading.